The year is 1896. The location is Zanzibar, a small island off the coast of Tanzania, and it's here that history will be made, not because of a battle of epic proportions or a strategic masterstroke, but simply because of the brevity of the engagement. For this is the site of the shortest war in recorded human history, lasting a mere 38 minutes from start to finish. Now, you might be wondering what all the fuss is about. Surely there have been other conflicts that have been resolved faster. Well, yes, perhaps. But this particular engagement had all the makings of a classic military confrontation. There was an aggressor and a victim, a battle plan and a defense, even casualties and a victor and a vanquished. What more do you need for a war? But how did such a short war happen? Well, let's go back to the beginning. At that time, Zanzibar was an independent sultanate, but it was surrounded by British and German colonial possessions, and so it was caught in the middle of a struggle between two European powers for dominance in East Africa. When the British Sultan died in 1896, they hoped that they could install their own man as the new leader. However, a pro-British candidate was seen as a puppet of the British Empire and was deeply unpopular with the local population. The leading contender to the throne was a man named Sayyid Khalid bin Barkash, who had studied in England and was well versed in Western ways. However, he was also a staunch nationalist who had no intention of ruling as a British puppet. As the British and Germans prepared for a showdown over Zanzibar, Khalid seized his chance. With the backing of the local populace, he staged a coup d'etat and proclaimed himself the new sultan. The British were furious and demanded that Khalid abdicate in favor of their preferred candidate. But Khalid refused, pointing out that he had been chosen by the people and would not be dictated to by a foreign power. As talks between Khalid and the British continued, a British naval squadron arrived in Zanzibar harbor, a show of force intended to intimidate the Sultan into submission. On August 27, 1896, an ultimatum expired, and the British warships opened fire on the Sultan's palace and his troops. Khalid's forces were made up of between 200 and 500 men, armed with old rifles and light artillery. They were no match for the British, who had brought along a naval brigade of 2,000 soldiers equipped with the latest weapons. The British also had superior firepower with 6 warships and 2 cruisers in the harbor, as well as several smaller boats filled with troops. When the battle began, Khalid's men opened fire on the British ships, but their bullets had little effect on the modern warships. Meanwhile, the British returned fire with their larger caliber guns, quickly inflicting heavy casualties on the Sultan's forces. Within minutes, the battle was over, and Khalid's forces had either been killed or had fled. The British lost 1 man during the engagement, while the Zanzibari casualties are unknown, but likely much higher. So why was this war so short? Well, for one thing, the British had a massive advantage in firepower. Their ships alone were able to inflict heavy casualties on the Zanzibari forces without suffering much damage themselves. Additionally, the British were well trained and disciplined, while the Zanzibari forces were not. Finally, the British were fighting for a powerful empire with vast resources at its command, while the Zanzibari were defending their small island nation. In the end, it is not surprising that the war lasted only 38 minutes. For the Zanzibari people, the war was a humiliating defeat. Their sultan had been overthrown, and their country had been occupied by the British. Many Zanzibaris felt that they had no choice but to resist the British, even though they knew that they were outgunned. Some hoped that the Germans would come to their rescue, but that never happened. Instead, the Germans and British divided Zanzibar between them, ending the Sultanate for good. Though the war was over in a flash, its effects were felt for many years to come. The short war serves as a reminder of the sometimes brutal realities of colonialism and the lengths to which imperial powers would go to protect their interests. It also shows how quickly a conflict can turn on the battlefield and the importance of having a strong military. Ultimately, it is a cautionary tale of what can happen when a small nation tries to stand up to a powerful empire. Today, Zanzibar is part of Tanzania, and the memory of the short war is still fresh in the minds of many Zanzibaris. It is a dark chapter in their history, but one that should not be forgotten. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Thank you for watching.